Ken, thank you so much for joining us today with the Think Small podcast. Really excited for today's conversation. We had a conversation a prior, maybe 2 weeks ago, and some of the stuff that you were talking about from, you're like a surgeon for businesses that are struggling, right? Yep. And I love that analogy. So why don't you tell our listeners, tell the audience what you do and what your company's primary drivers are?
Fantastic. Yes. So the niche surgeon here is a business turnarounds. So Newpoint Advisors is the name of the company. We do turnarounds for companies, but we, in the general genre of turnarounds, we work with smaller businesses. I like to say it's Main Street, not Wall Street, but it's the kind of $5 to $50 million in revenue. It's not entrepreneurs per se, but people who have grown a business to a size where suddenly, infrastructure and the way you manage matters. And there's a lot about that space that is difficult for people to manage. And so we get called a lot to help those folks, focusing again on that smaller group of people whose needs are different from larger companies. The industry I come from deals with larger companies. So we've re-engineered and specialized things so they work for these smaller companies.
So, but specifically you're on the, almost like on the triage side. No? I mean, we talked a little bit about when you get involved, when somebody gets a call from Ken, it's pretty much like dire straits, right?
It is. If you were going to keep the surgical analogy, we are talking emergency surgery. We are typically called 2 weeks to 2 months before someone's about ready to miss a payroll. It can be a little bit earlier, and there's some people that don't quite need quite so much bandage, but it's going to be typically by human nature, just going to be near late stage, and really a lot needs to happen very quickly.
Yeah, it's got to be terrifying for a business owner, yes. Sitting there on Monday morning knowing that 2 weeks from now, payroll is going to be sent out. There's going to be an ACH, and there's not funds there. Like that's got to be terrifying.
Yes, and a lot of these phone calls come on a Thursday or Friday afternoon, where payroll was covered by the grace of God. Some lender or some stakeholder stuck their neck out and said, "I got you, but you're going to meet Ken now. I need you to work with him because he's going to help you get out of your situation." So yeah, it's a tough moment. Scared to death, I think, is a lot for a lot of people, and then also recognizing their own limitations for a moment, which is, from an entrepreneur standpoint, very humbling moment. So
absolutely,
we meet people not necessarily at their best moment.
Sure, I mean, naturally, and nobody wants to admit, like they need help, right, or anything. I've done a fair bit of personal finance, and obviously the scope of it's similar but different in your approaches. And I bit hard on some Dave Ramsey financial advice, a couple of years back, and I revamped my whole approach to it. Got myself out of debt, and then I was like, "Oh, I can help my family." And then we were sitting down doing one-on-ones with my family, and they were like, "No, Alex, this is not interested, buddy. Calm down, pump the brakes. We're not doing this." And I was like, "So yeah, it's so intertwined with their, personal emotional state, right? Because it's so." So close to the heart.
Yes. We're talking about payroll, we're talking about dollars, but we really are talking about human beings and their emotions and where they can go. And a lot of people are trapped in a paradigm, a belief system about what they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, almost boxing themselves in. It's self-limiting behavior. We find ourselves with a lot of clients trying to get them to do less or move in a new direction. You can never do too little. A turnaround is a huge amount of lift and exercise, but we're also trying to, I think the best way to describe it is we're reprioritizing your to-do list to get the right actions. Very similar to your David Ramsey story, which is, hey, if you pay this and not this, do this and that, then you'll do better. And that's where an entrepreneur gets confused. There's just so much going on. We've never met an entrepreneur who didn't have a to-do list that wasn't as long as their arm or pages deep, right? Of all the things they want to do, it could do, it should be doing. And so we got to come back and say, sort that out, because you can't keep doing everything. It's failing you.
So is that how it starts when you have your first kind of couple of meetings? You dive in on all of their payments, all of their liabilities, all of their assets, where the money's coming in, where it's going out, and then you say, all right, here's the schedule. Follow this, and you'll survive. What's the approach?
Yeah. So great. There are two tools that get used. If you're a small business and you haven't heard of this yet, go to Google and look for 13-week cash flow model. Weird name, right? Very strange beast, but it is the weekly planning tool. It is one used as the lingua franca of everything we do in our industry. But it's also the tool that every venture capital company and every private equity firm puts their investments and their management teams on from day one. This is their David Ramsey tool. You will live by this cash flow model. And it even comes with variance reporting and said, well, last week you said you were going to ship 1,000 widgets. You shipped 900. Why?
Mm-hmm.
If the first answer is an excuse, you're going to hear, well, why did that happen? And why you're going to end up in what we refer to as the 5 whys, getting back to your activities, which brings up tool number 2. It's the activities and not necessarily the cash that drives everything. And so what we try to do is we have a methodology for this at Newpoint. We're unique in this respect. We have a methodology we call TAME, and TAME is an acronym for TAME, like in Tame a Tiger, turnaround action matrix evaluation. And it allows us to get inside of a business that doesn't have very good records. Maybe the accounting records are soft, and certainly the operating records are almost virtually non-existent. But we're able to, in a very short period of time, matter of days, see right through the business and see the activities you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, and the activities that you should be doing you're not doing, and then some of them that you're not doing well enough, right? And then pull a massive amount of that stuff together and then simplify it for you so that you can look at it and say, oh, I need to be doing 1, 2, 3, as opposed to 1 through 3,000. And then once you're organized, then you see your true north and you can start moving. Most entrepreneurs get the message, or these, entrepreneurial business owners get the message and move forward pretty quickly.
Nice. That's awesome. What is the average success rate that you're finding that when they implement correctly and they follow every word you say and they go down to the tooth? What's the likelihood of success after that?
So our likely success rate is about 90%. Now,
Wow.
Yes. Now, I'm going to, and to give that some backing, or if you will, to say, well, okay, well, gee whiz, I guess the other guys are pretty good too. If you get to the spot where we are and you're thinking about using us, you're also probably have been talking to someone who said something about doing bankruptcy. The same class of people who our size of clients who would file bankruptcy have a 12% survival rate. So there's, which way do you want to go? Do you need to fix your operations, or do you want to have a bunch of fights over legal constructs? So look, lawyers do great things. Bankruptcy can do good things, but it's not always the only tool you need. And so,
Ken, I was fully prepared for you to say 35%, but 90% is pretty incredible. I mean, I think you had mentioned a figure of jobs saved. I don't remember what it was. What was your figure?
Yeah, we've been around for 12 years, and we've saved 14,731 jobs so far. I'm proud of it, but also I know there's way more pain out there. And so that's why I like talking with you, Alex, today, because maybe we can find a couple more people that didn't know this was an avenue and an opportunity, and we can help save some jobs.
It's incredible, really. It's that's something you should certainly be proud of.
Well, thank you.
So the one thing that popped into my head was how does somebody find you aside from listening to our podcast? But I've never heard of an advisor that's, triaging businesses that are going out of business. Right. So how does somebody find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, we are Newpoint Advisors Corporation. And so that gets it really simple. Go to it when you're checking out that 13-week cash flow model. Also Google Newpoint Advisors. You'll see case studies and all that stuff. I'm Ken Yager, Yager at newpointadvisors.us. We're also part of an organization called the Turnaround Management Association. Yes, there's a whole bunch of us out there that do this stuff. Now, most of them are not trained to work on small business. However, you go there and learn about what's going on around you. It's a great repository for an entrepreneur to go in and say, okay, gosh, okay, maybe I do need help.
You're not, you had said that you're in Florida, but then you were up in New York and you're kind of all around. Are you, restricted by the region or nationwide?
We're nationwide. We're a firm of 24 members spread all over the United States, all over Oregon, Arizona, Maine to Miami. have worked physically worked in and touched entrepreneurs in 41 of the lower 48, and working feverishly to get to the last 7. So,
yeah, it's incredible. I guess maybe you could tell me about where you see the company going in the next few years, or something that you're excited about in the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, so Newpoint is an entrepreneurial venture itself. I am that entrepreneur. Saw a different way to help people and change some things in our industry. And so we've grown to a size. We've got 24 employees. We'd like to be able to grow double the size each year for the next several years, because we know there's so many people out there who are in pain. So we would like to help them out, get them to the other side of this, get them back to entrepreneurship. So yeah, growth for us. And really, another thing too, Alex, it doesn't take bad economies or bad, macroeconomic issues for us to be useful. Most of the companies that are in that $5 to $50 million range, they're smaller, they're a little more fragile than other companies, and as well as they've done to get to where they are. And so we find a lot of people breaking all the time for their own personal reasons. And so we see that even in a good economy with a good tailwind, we're still busy.
Are you industry agnostic? I mean, is there anybody that you work really well with, or does it not matter? I mean, from a financial perspective, you just kind of go in and it's black and white. It's Excel sheets and invoices, right?
Right. Very much, Alex. My facetious answer to that always is our number one industry are business owners. By focusing on we're agnostic to industry. We work in all 22 NAICS codes for NICS codes. However, because we focus on $55 to $50 million revenue companies, we get involved in construction, manufacturing, healthcare, professional services, transportation, wholesale, and retail. That makes up about 70% of that space.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I always think about the entrepreneur that went into business because that's what they were good at, right? They're like, my dad was in construction, I'm in construction, and then we opened this business and we grew it. But I didn't go into business. I went into business to create myself a job. I'm good at construction, and just kind of grew. And so there's admitting that they have sort of like that hole in they're almost like a gap in knowledge maybe, and where they can bring in that consultative approach, or they bring in that professional to help them keep this boat, floating, right?
Yes. Here's an important message for your audience. When you go to work to start your own business to help people, right? Because you're good at something, just like you said, the construction guy. It's a perfect example. When you're good at something, opportunity is going to come your way. We're getting to a point in this modern economy where we can actually put our hands on very important things called inflection points, where as you grow, it's not that you should change, you have to change. So as you become a $1 million company, you're going to have to think of a different way about how you run your business. At 5 million, you have to change it. At 10 million, you have to change it. At 20 million, and then somewhere close to 50 million, you are going to rewrite the book and the people that are at your side helping your business. It's just it's becoming it's gone beyond theory. It's almost becoming an absolute law. If you don't watch for that stuff, you will end up in a trap that could require you to need my help for a moment.
So is there a service because I know that you're strictly on this sort of, like I said, triage, side of it. Is there some way that you're handing off to like maybe a fractional CFO, or there's a network that you would make a referral after you've triaged it, you fixed it, if you have that 90% success rate where you say, hey, let's not get you back to see me again, right?
Yes.
Is there a long-term strategy to help these businesses?
Yeah, all the things that we do in our recommendations in those immediate moments of pain also are driven off of where's the long game. So it's not some of it might feel tactical for a second. All of it has implications for how you grow. So yes, getting better HR, getting better finance, getting better IT, getting better ops, getting better sales, whatever, all the things, getting out of the way of a market trend that is just going to hurt you because you're just not big enough, or the market's dying or something like that. Get you to that safe place so that you can continue to grow. So yeah, we do look at the long term, and we think, we tell partners or tell our clients is if you're a survivor, we want to set you up the next level of executive or fractional executive or consulting or firm that can help you with these things. Because you don't, 5 million in revenue, 10 million in revenue. You can't afford all the overhead that a big 30 or $40 million company can, but you can cheat and you can get enough. And that's what most entrepreneurs don't understand. And it's one of the things that hurts them the most.
Yeah. It's like they're wearing so many hats and they're like, I've always done it.
Yes.
Right. And so like, I don't know, maybe I'll just get back. Maybe I'll stay in that same spot, but I don't think that's how it works. Right. Ultimately.
It doesn't. As I said, we're coming to the point where it's almost a law. When you hit these milestones, you have to change, or you will run into the easy button version is you're going to run to a glass ceiling and wonder why every time you make an attempt to grow, all you do is burn money. The hard button version is you try to grow, you're growing and it's eating you alive. You suddenly have no cash flow. And these are the reasons why you end up with me.
I'm curious about how you address like raising, about the increase in pretty much every consumer good, right? And the raising of prices of pretty much everything in the American economy today. Mm-hmm. So like, is there any advice that you could give to a business owner as far as offsetting, mitigating costs, putting vendors under review, things like that? Like, how do we adjust our budgets?
So this is great. Yeah. So the great thing is we're kind of we're revisiting the 80s. People who were in the business back then, the 80s was more inflation than we're seeing today. And you did have to watch your cost, but cost is not just a straight stare at the invoice and hope that a penny falls out, or you can beat a nickel out of some guy. There's strategy around it. What do I do that I'm inefficient at that I can give to a vendor? Or what am I giving a vendor to do that I could be more efficient at? There could be all kinds of things like the way you receive things in bulk or or broken down, the size, the economic order quantities that you take on that suck up all kinds of inventory, that sucks up all kinds of costs and causes working capital problems. But then also passing on cost to your customers. If you can't pass on cost to your customers, you need to re-examine where you are in your relationship. Is it a customer you can really service well? Or do you have them there as a matter of convenience? Or were they somebody who, when you were smaller, really, it was like in catch as catch can, it was a good customer because they actually paid their bills. But now, strategically, it doesn't fit. But you keep holding on to them for loyalty reasons. But there's a tax on that loyalty, and it's dragging your business down. Can't raise prices, can't do the things you need to do as a business. So that's a big review part that people to think about too.
Interesting. All right. So, long-term success with employees, it just seems like it's I think your business model is awesome. Is there anything else that you really want to share maybe with the audience about your approach or just in general?
Yeah. So look, one of the things that, we talk about missing payroll, so we might lose jobs. Getting into this, meeting someone like myself seems like a horrible and dark and scary thing, is the door to open to a brighter future, keeping the jobs and the community that you've built around your business. Take on this opportunity to have someone as a coach for a moment. Yes, it's a coach in a moment that is very struggling, but also know that I'm going to leave in a very short period of time. Typical Newpoint turnaround, less than 7 months. So we're going to be in and out. 2 years from now, no one will even remember our name. You'll be the hero of your own story as the entrepreneur who took action, got good advice, and moved the needle, moved yourself out of harm's way, saved the jobs, grew your business.
Is there any advice you could give to an entrepreneur that doesn't want to see you, that's doing okay, but is here listening to this and is like, I never want to meet that guy?
Yep, absolutely. Number one thing, get yourself a 13-week cash flow model and own it like a Bible. All right. This is not just a survival tactic. It is a growth tactic. It is a thing and here as an entrepreneur, you get to do the books and records, and I get to do my taxes from last year. I get to get my books from last month. That's all great. 13-week cash flow model is a forecasting tool, is a simplified ability to see into the future. What problems am I going to have? Not what did I have for lunch last week? So this is the way entrepreneurs think. So use this, strap this on. This is part of your power kit for growth.
Yeah, awesome. And then I was wondering about if you could share maybe a success story, one that, maybe hits close to the heart that you think about often. You're like, oh man, I loved working on that opportunity, or there was a really cool business that you worked with that you were able to save and
I will tell you what. So, all right, one from a handful of years ago, company 15, about maybe 15 million in revenue. So, it's a good size organization, 100 employees, made really cool parts for the Defense Department. Got themselves into big trouble. I got introduced. They were about 3 or 4 days from not making it. This was horrible, horrible situation, and all those jobs are going to be lost. Got called in, started, go walk the plant. In a series of activities, found the bottleneck. The two things they were doing wrong. First was a operational mistake, and second was a sales and management mistake. Flipped those two gears in a couple of days, and 60 days later, they were the most profitable they'd ever been. And they were back into growth mode, and their liquidity all cleaned up, and they had the cash flow they needed to keep going. And to this day, they're still rocking and rolling over there. So yeah, and these are small things. They're not big things. They're tiny, but they get buried. They become blind spots. You can't find them, and that's why it's good to have a fresh set of eyes. Come sit with you for a minute and help you go where you need to go.
That's awesome. Ken, I really appreciated your time and your insight. And I feel optimistic, honestly, when I'm kind of talking to you. It's funny, we're talking about businesses that are struggling or like ready to close, and you're like throwing them a life raft. Like, hey, no, you don't have to close. We can save you.
There's another way. Exactly. Thank you, Alex, for letting me help you tell that story, because I do want to see guys and gals who've invested in their souls and lives in this survive and keep the jobs that they've created.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate you being a guest today.
Thank you, Alex. Take care.
All right, take care.